Kilted Balls. Oh my gosh, that might be one of my favorite intros we've done yet, because I'm like, are you ready? You're like, yeah, I'm ready. And then I thought you were going to do a ventriloquist act.
I was. Did it come through?
No, I couldn't hear it. All I could hear was that was fantastic. So I'm excited to hear that one later on. For the rest of you who are not entertained by our theme song, welcome back to the Kilted Balls podcast, friends. Woo.
Yes.
We've missed you. It's been a long week. We haven't seen you. It's been so sad. So glad to be back. Glad to be back with y'all.
Yes.
So we're actually, you wouldn't all know this because you just get the recordings as you get them, but we're actually recording a little bit later tonight. I was delayed, and I had meetings and interviews and stuff tonight, but when I got done, people were like, let's go get some food. And I was like, yeah. Like, first off, like, those people who I was with never invite me. And second, I was starving because I hadn't eaten, right? So I'm like,
they don't usually invite you? Like, they go out and don't invite you at all?
No, I don't think they ever go out.
Oh, okay.
So they were going out, and they were like, hey, like 4 or 5 different people were like, you should go. And I was like, all right, I'll go. So
yeah.
I go because I'm starving. And so the funny part about this is we're at a Mexican place. You know the one, you've been there. And I'm like, my give a damn busted about, a week ago. So the guy comes over and is like, oh, would you like something to drink? And I'm like in a semi-official capacity. But like I said, my give a damn broke. So I was like, hey, yeah, I'd like a Corona. And the owner / waiter is like, oh, do you want a small or a tall? I'm like, bring me a tall. So, like, they didn't get through everybody yet, and he came and, like, brought me mine. And he brings me this tiny little mug and sets it down, and then he pulls out a quart bottle with a lime in it. I'm like, seriously? Everybody's like, what the hell did you get? And I'm like, apparently a tall? Like, I thought it was on tap, but nope, it was a big ass quart bottle and like this little mug. So it's like I was drinking espresso beers. I'm like, But so like people at the far end of the table were like, that's amazing. And so they were like, we want what he has. And so they all ordered them. But then they were cool. They just drank theirs out of the big bottle. But I had my little mug. I was like, nope.
Yeah. I mean, if they're not going to supply you with a brown bag, there's no reason to drink out of the quart.
No, exactly. Well, and that's what people were like, is that a 40? I'm like, no, it is not. I go, I'm fancy. It's a quart bottle. So yeah. So that was good. And I ordered nachos because I wanted to eat light. Because I always get the same thing when I go there. But this time I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some nachos. And
let me guess, they're as big as your head.
No, I thought about the fact that, like, sometimes they have different kinds of nachos. And I was just like, give me nachos. And he's like, what kind? I'm like, beef. And I was like, shoot, I bet they have different kinds. And the nachos came out. And it was like a plate of chips. And they had sprinkled ground beef over them, and then that white cream sauce on them, and that was it. Like, that's all it was. And it was amazing. It was so good.
I was going to say, I bet you it was good.
It was so good. Like, they set it down, and I was like, this is not what I had in mind. I was, like, thinking of a tower with, like, lettuce, tomatoes, jalapeno. You know what I mean? But then I, like, picked up the first one. I'm like, nah, this is good.
Yeah.
Like,
sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was nice. So yeah, so that's after all that. Then I did that, and I'm like, that was a good time. I'm glad I went.
Cool.
So yeah, but I had to share my beer story. That's my beer story, people.
It's always nice to hang around with different people, especially people that you interact with, to have a chance to do something like that.
For sure.
Always adds to the story for sure.
Yep, yeah, and you add to the plot, and you add those connections, and those are all pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had to have an episode today because I've got to know what the hell is going on with you. So.
Yeah. So I sent out a funky question the other day.
You did.
And so I mean, and I knew the answer, but I know that you should be respectful and just at least give people a heads up what's going on. But I asked you if I could use you as a reference.
You did.
So,
and I was like, yes.
Yes, exactly. And I'm trying to think where to start this. Have we talked about when I was debating on teaching again? Have I told you that? That's kind of been like going through my mind a little bit.
You might have mentioned it in passing once, but not with any substance or depth.
So here's the thing I've realized. So I've been doing a lot of soul searching lately. We've been talking about that. And as a father, I have at least 12 more years before I can really like travel, like during the school year, stuff like that, besides like spring break and summertime.
Sure.
Before I can do like a lot of things like that, because I have small children that will be in school, which you understand. And you talk about that as far as retiring anyways. Like,
yes.
Why would I retire? Like, we're just going to sit around. So I think that, so I've been debating like, oh, maybe I just go back and teach and if I'm at where the kids are, like that's cool because you have to go there anyways. And it's just kind of been tossing the idea around.
Right.
And on my phone, I get news stories like, like the local, Mooresville's hiring. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, interesting. It's like something that would just come up. And it's not like I ever look for jobs or anything like that. So it's weird that I get that information. And I've seen some things on there, but nothing like where I'm like, And in my past, I always thought it would be awesome to, write a children's book. I had one written. It's lost. I have no idea where it is. I'd have to write it again. But or even just to go to a library and volunteer, like read to the kids, have fun, and make some of those connections as well. I think I'm great with little kids, and I think it could be really fun. So this weekend, I see another one of the news stories where Mooresville's hiring. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to click on it. And one that came up was a kids librarian for like their main branch.
Oh.
And I'm like, you know what? Like, if this is something that I've thought about doing in a volunteer idea, like, why wouldn't I see if I get hired? Yeah. So I think with my experience, it could be a lot of fun. It would be I think it would be cool. I don't know. It could be something that's totally boring. I have no idea. But I think it could be something that would really be fun in doing programs. I don't know if it's kids like just littles or if the kids means all the way to teenagers where I could bring some of my gaming experience in.
Right.
And like run some games and things like that for kids. And of course I know, obviously over the years you've talked about the things that you do at your library. And so yeah, I filled out my application and everything, and I said I don't have a resume, but I just kind of did the online resume thing.
Nice.
I filled out all their questions. So yeah, I'm just putting it out there. I have, I'm gonna be hanging out here anyways. like okay, and really with we talked about selling the sheets and what am I gonna do next and just this and that, and it just something that came across my path, and I just throw my fishing line into the water.
I love it. You'll have to let us know if you get an interview, and I'll have advice.
Awesome. I know. Well, I asked you earlier because I for some reason I thought that you had left it. I remember that they voted it where you could stay longer, but that was even a while ago. Yep. So I wasn't sure if you still were, and I was filling it out because I was going to put because I actually put you down as a business reference, because like you couldn't click both. You had to click one.
Right.
So being that we're in business together and we do a lot of business stuff, I figured that would be, more important than a personal. But
no, that seems appropriate. And as a kid's librarian, you do programming's kind of like one of the big things. At least up here it is, right? And by programming, I mean like, hey, we're gonna do this whole thing centered around llamas, and then we're gonna have llamas come in and do like a petting zoo, or hey, we're gonna do these arts crafts and do all of this, and it's like that kind of things. Like we're gonna have the reptiles in, we're gonna have whatever.
Especially like over the summer to try to get people into the library,
yes,
and to do stuff like that, and a place where parents can bring the kids to hang out for a little bit and to do some fun stuff with everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And you should spend time like going to a few of them and looking at a few of them. Like take the boys to it, and that'll really help. So
I don't have my library card for here yet, so I definitely, obviously should get that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I still have my Mecklenburg County, and I have my Gaston County, but I don't have my Iredell.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe we'll have to go up there and get it, and even see, check out, because there's 2 locations. It would be at the main one, which is right downtown Mooresville, which is kind of cool.
That's super cool. That'd be amazing.
Because there's like a lot going on right there.
I think you would really enjoy that. I think that would be fun. So, personally, I think it'd be fun for you. So
yeah,
I think you'd enjoy that. I also realized that like I play with my mouse a lot, like on the screen, and I was just like, oh, that's recording all my mouse movements. So like right now I'm picking your nose. I'm like, people can't see that. Like normally nobody sees that, but I forgot we're literally recording what I'm doing. So
man,
when I'm like circling your name over and over, like they're picking that up. So
that's funny.
Oops. That's me being silly.
So how is your summer going so far? It seems like you've been really busy.
Yeah. So a person asked me just yesterday, they're like, oh my gosh, did you have a great first day kind of your break? And I'm like, so what people don't realize is in a lot of ways my summer is busier.
Yeah.
It's more free. Like my schedule is free, but it's not free like, hey, I get to sit on the beach. It's like free like, oh, now you guys can schedule meetings all day long. Free. Like you don't have to wait until 6 or 7 at night to do it. So, that's what happens. Now today was a good day. I was super happy. Everybody cleared out of the house by 8:30. And I'm like, what should I do? Like everybody's gone, which is kind of a weird feeling for me. So I'm like, I'm making breakfast. So I made myself a nice breakfast. And I'm eating it. And I'm like, I really wanted to take advantage of the mornings to either write or to go do stuff or to read or work out. And so I'm like doing a few of those things I'm reading. I'm like, you know what? I really want to get more active during the summer. And I go, I want to disc golf more. And I'm like, so I'm going to walk to the disc golf course today. And I'm going to wait until like 10 because I have to pick up Cal at 12. And I'm like, I'll walk right by where he's at. So I went and disc golfed and listened to my book. Like I put on The Great Hunt and listened to it while I disc golf. And it was great, except, and you'll appreciate this, I was on one of the holes on my course where it goes really high to the left. And so I threw it and I'm like, oh, that's a good throw. But I'm like watching through the trees and I never see it come down. And so I'm like, shoot, where did that go? And so I go and I search through all the poison ivy. And I can't find it. And I'm like, it never came down. And I look and there it is, 20, 30 feet up in a tree.
Oh, no. And I'm guessing the tree was fat enough where you couldn't really shake it.
Yeah, it was a fat tree and it was like on the vines, like the grapevines from it. I'm like, shoot. So then I spent like 10 or 15 minutes throwing my other. I only brought 2 discs. So I'd like throw it, miss, have to, because you don't normally throw straight up. So then I'd walk, go find that disc, bring it back, throw it, go find the disc, just over and over. But yeah. And by noon, I had 10,000 steps in. I was like, man, this is great.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then
I was going to say, did you get a DNF?
No. It came down eventually. I wasn't leaving it there. But yeah, it was a good round. And then, so that was nice. Because I'm like, okay, nothing's planned. Picked up Cal. Cal and I hung out most of the days. I had meetings tonight. So I was like, yeah, this is legit. I like this.
That's super awesome. I've been getting so much done and organized in the warehouse, especially, from Gina's old house and bringing the stuff in and just kind of integrating it to everything else. So I got a ton done today. It was just like a super, super good feeling.
When you have those productive days, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. And I want to hear more. Maybe I don't want to hear more about it, but I really want you to write that kids book, because now that you and I know how to publish, we can publish that.
Yeah, I wish I knew where it was. It was one of those things. It was when I was up in Massachusetts, and just ideas tossing around. And it's funny because if you remember that for the 6 months that I was up there, I was living in the camper.
Yeah.
Like, it was just camper living. I mean, it was summertime and stuff, so it wasn't bad. But I was walking to the bathrooms, because they had good bathrooms there rather than using our bathroom. And there was like a little toad that was trying to, he was like hanging out by the door.
Right.
And I walked in, I took a shower, and I had this idea of, my book is the toad was very thankful that I didn't hurt it. I kind of pushed it out of the way so it could hop along. But that was my story, that the toad was very thankful, and my kids were there with me so many years later, and they saw these toads, and the toads were kind of acting weird, and we got in a dream, the toad and all the babies came, and they were very thankful that they lived, and they were happy to see us and watch the kids grow up. But I wrote that story on a plane trip. I think I was flying to Vegas, and I just wrote, and I went through and I was editing and looking at it, and I just don't know what I did with it. But it was I thought it was a great, fun story.
Oh my gosh!
And,
so now you either
I know enough about it. I'd have to rewrite it. I know I won't find it. So much has happened since then. I mean, I moved from Massachusetts back to Florida, moved out of Florida, and that was craziness. And then, I've moved 2 or 3 times since then, and I haven't seen it.
So you're gonna have
I'd have to rewrite it.
You're gonna have to remember it. And get to
I have a lot of fun kid stories in my mind.
I only have like 2, but I just like you have always wanted to do one. And once I published that journal, that was like one of my things. I was like, you know what? This year I'm gonna write a kid's story. So especially with AI being able to illustrate for me, because we don't know any graphic designers to help us.
That is true. We don't. Although my aunt, she just retired. She was a 3rd grade teacher.
Oh.
And I had an idea, another story, which this one I can't say on here because someone will steal it. It's even better than the Frog family story.
I thought it was a toad.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. The Toad family story. But I was telling Paul about it, and he's like, "Oh, try to see if she can have her kids draw all the pictures for you." So that'd be cool. But I never pursued it. But she's retired now. But that one's fun. That one.
Morgie's the right age. Ollie's the right age. Cal's the right age. They can draw your pictures.
That is true. That story, I'll just say part of it because I can tell you part of it.
Don't let people steal it.
No, because I even reached out. I reached out to Kim, if you remember Kim, and I asked her if she minded that if I had a story about a bush baby named Riff Raff, and she thought it would be awesome.
Oh, nice.
So Riff Raff is one of the characters. and a Nile monitor is the other character.
Ooh, I like it already. I like it.
So yeah, I love that. I'm so excited that story is.
And if you could add a Peter, I would be so happy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I need to do that.
Peter existed. I almost forgot about Peter.
So. We were just looking at pictures. It was so funny. The kids, for whatever reason, we were talking, and they were like, "We want to see pictures when you were a baby." And I was like, "Okay." Like if I start, like I know I have them, I just didn't know exactly where they were. And just by moving stuff around, I actually stumbled across the box. So I was like, "Okay, like this is cool." I'll show the kids, and they were excited and they were watching. But it was so funny because like the whole this whole last week, like anything would come up, they're like, well, does Shane do this or does Shane do that? Like they had millions of questions about Shane and like how what he would do in this situation and stuff just from seeing him. And they, they're picturing him obviously as like a little kid.
Well, he hasn't changed.
Yeah,
he's still.
And it's funny because they saw pictures of Angel, and Angel looks a lot like her daughter, and they're like, "Oh, is that Farron?" I'm like, "No, that's Farron's mom," and they're like, "No, that's not her."
Nah.
So, yeah, that was fun, and just especially because we're off and be able to spend a little bit more quality time, I would say, as opposed to rushing around so much.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, when are we getting these books done?
Right, we need to do some books, some kids' books.
And
we got to illustrate them.
Go on a library tour.
Oh my god!
I used to love reading Stella Luna to the kids. I loved it.
Heck yeah!
It was so much fun.
There are so many fun ones, and yeah, the reason I made the graphic design comment is that's come up a few times today because like I keep getting all of this like campaign literature, and like I have a guy, but he hasn't done anything yet. And like last time I saw him, I was like, "Hey, like I kind of need stuff like done." He's like, "Yeah, we'll do that." And for those of you who know me, like I don't have a slow gear.
Yeah.
Like I have no gear, and then I have really fast gear. So I'm like, I can't wait around for you because inertia's a thing. So today I was like trying to get on and design my flyer and design my message and everything. Because I'm like, my campaign manager's not freaking doing it. So I'm like, I can't wait around.
Hire him.
Well, I never paid him, so I feel okay. I figure it's an honor to work with me, so he's probably just happy.
That is true. That is true. To be able to put that on your resume.
Right, and I'm probably a small fish in the big political sea, right? Like our girl Jess running for big time stuff. Mine's like little time. So,
so that came into my head. I think that it's going to be awesome, like because who knows what's going to happen, but it seems like you have a very good chance. It seems like she has a very good chance.
My campaign manager said she has no chance.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, oh, my friend is running for this, and he's like, oh, against her opponent, and I'm like, yeah. He goes, no shot. He's going to crush her. I'm like, no way. I'm like, he sucks. And he almost lost to nobody last time.
And the district is redrawn.
But that's when he almost lost, was in the district.
Okay.
Because he's like, well, he won after the district was drawn. I'm like, barely against a person who literally didn't do a damn thing. I'm like, and all of my family over there, I don't know if I told you this, but my family was like, he sucks. We'll vote for anybody but him. And they're Republicans.
Yeah.
They're like, we do not want him. So she's got our vote. So I'm like, I feel like he's going to lose.
Well, I think it's just great that we have friends, and you guys will be like the epitome of reaching across the aisle, even though you do completely different things.
Yes.
But you never know what you're going to end up doing, and you never know what she's going to end up doing, and just the future, that the ideas that were popping into my head were wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and the plan is eventually, I'll be governor and get to stay up on Mackinac Island, and everybody who votes for me gets to stay there too. So.
Yes, I do remember that being in your pitch. I might have to move back up there so I can vote for you and stay on Mackinac
Right? Stay on Mackinac Island. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That came up recently, like twice, and I was like, all right, if it comes up twice, that means it's the universe talking. So
Yep.
I need to remember that's a thing.
Mm-hmm. That is.
Yep.
Like, maybe you need to do this.
Maybe I do, but I'm just
see
excited
that
to
even
go
the
for
ideas. Yeah, no, I think it's super exciting. I know. I'm like, oh, this could be fun. Like, I don't know anybody, so maybe maybe that's my first step.
Today, when I left my thing, I'm with people that I talk to, every once in a while, but not like a ton. And so as we're leaving, I'm like, hey, if I come knocking on your door, don't be mean to me. And they all stopped on a dime because we were walking to our cars, and they're like, what are you running for? I was like, oh, county commissioner, and they're like, oh, no way, blah 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 blah. And so then they're like, because they're all political people too.
Yeah.
And so they're like, that's amazing. Give us signs, give us this. And I'm like, yeah, I'm actually working on it right now. So once I get it done, I'll make sure you have one.
That's cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I thought so. So I was like, yay. So people, were excited about it. And people who move in pretty big circles, like the guy who was there who bought my dinner, he actually was like, give me your bill. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. He's like, nope, I've got you. This was before I told him that. But when Trump got sued in Michigan, he was Trump's attorney.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I say they're like political people, they're kind of in the know politically.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, yeah.
That's rubbing elbows.
Yeah. So I was excited when he was like, oh, that'll be awesome. That's super exciting. I'm like, sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, heck yeah. Go.
Following that excitement.
That's what I feed off of. So I'm like, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna eat that up.
It's funny because I think about, we've talked a lot on here about what has happened in my life over the last 3 years. And part of it, like we had talked about, and I have said this, I think that I was supposed to be be a father and to be part of these kids' lives. And I firmly believe that. But one of the podcasts I was listening to recently this week was talking about when you get to a stage and you're not growing, you're dying. And it was funny because I was definitely in that very complacent, I had worked my butt off, done this and that, it's kind of just cruise control now. I can do this, I can do that. Who knows what else I'm going to do? But it was almost like in my mind, I had achieved it and I wasn't really working towards anything else. And, I'm like, oh, that's another big thing that, probably pushed everything. You can't be 46 or 45, whatever I was, and just be totally complacent that that's it for life. Oh, you got all the money you need, you got all this, all that, and then that's just it.
Right. That's one of the things we've talked about for a long, long time. You have to make yourself feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you're not making yourself uncomfortable, you're not growing.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's like me going and knocking on doors, right? That was always the worst thing for me ever, was going and knocking on doors, talking to people. So,
yeah.
Again, make yourself uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make myself uncomfortable and get used to the things that I find uncomfortable. So,
yeah.
Right? Because that's how we grow.
Yep.
And you're right on. Otherwise you're dying. It's like when people ask me if I'm going to retire. Nope. Because I don't want to just sit there and die.
Yeah.
I want to be going. Go.
You can only go on so many cruises, but hang out on so many beaches.
Right?
But yeah, that's awesome.
I know, though I do want to go to Lake Michigan soon. Kind of get
I know.
itch.
I've been looking at it. Actually, it's funny because we were just talking about Lake Michigan 2 days ago. We're drinking our morning coffee, talking about how our friends wanted everyone to go in and buy parts of the a property on Lake Michigan, and it's like, well, wait a second, like for a payment, like we could get this amazing place for the week and not have anything else to worry about.
Right, and not have any worries at all. Yeah, speaking of Michigan, I was thinking about Jason today because I was watching. Jason went to a Korean hot pot place, and he was talking about, man, I really want some good sushi. I'm like, I know where you can get good sushi. I didn't tell him though, because you got to get your ass to Michigan, Jason, and then I'll tell you some good sushi. Which I had somebody laugh the other day. They're like, yeah, that's what comes to mind when you talk about Michigan is good sushi. I'm like, you shut your damn mouths.
You don't know any better. Although it is in the range of, well, modern technology is different, but I try not to eat things that come from too far away from where they originated.
But the sushi here is good, isn't it?
The sushi's amazing.
Yes.
The sushi's amazing.
I was gonna say
it was like the oyster place in Vancouver. The local oysters were, they were all right, but the ones from New York were awesome.
Yep.
Like, darn it. Like, it can happen. It can happen.
But when we went to that crab boil in Florida, remember, like half of the stuff came from Louisiana, and it was so good.
Yeah, that place. I went to that place just recently. They expanded a lot. It's the grocery store your brother buys the stuff from, and it's a restaurant as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They opened up a whole back area. It's all like covered and stuff, and they're like, that's what got us through COVID, because they could space people out and more people, because it is a tiny place.
Smart.
Yeah, it's that place where your brother goes and gets everything. But they have fresh stuff coming in because that's, they're getting it right there. But some stuff comes from Louisiana as well.
Yeah, and it's good. So Louisiana knows their seafood.
Yeah.
So it's a thing. All right, people. I think we're running out of our stuff for the week. It's been a great week. You'll probably hear from us again next week, if not sooner. And I don't know. I'm just happy that you all exist. So
yes. And thank you for listening and watching, and however you do it. And you. Sure.
Yeah. And pay attention to my mouse going everywhere on the screen. Sorry about that. If that's a distraction. Oops, that's my bad. But anyway, love you guys, and this is Ballbuster signing off.
Kill the Dragon Jerry. Love you all.